We often say you are what you eat to compare the quality of food you eat to the quality of your body at a physical level. But what's often not talked about is the comparison with the quality of your body at a mental level. The body gets its nutrients, like fats, proteins, and carbs, from the food that's ingested. Those nutrients become the building blocks of every cell and structure in the body. Having nutritionally poor food means a poorly functioning body. This is like trying to power an electric car with gasoline. It doesn't turn out too good for anyone involved. The effect that diet has on our body includes our brain and our mental health. Currently, countless physical diseases such as heart disease or diabetes are associated with bad diet, but it's only now that we're looking at the associations that diet has with mental health.
Mental health refers to our cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. It is all about how we think, feel, and behave. Mental health can affect daily life, eating habits, relationships, and even physical health as well. One of the hallmarks of depression and anxiety disorders is a decrease in serotonin levels. This is why treatments such as SSRIs can be helpful. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors are antidepressants that can affect serotonin levels in the brain. SSRIs are used to treat depression and anxiety by working to increase serotonin levels in the synapses. Major depressive disorder is a significant medical condition that can affect many areas of your life. It impacts mood and behavior as well as various physical functions, such as appetite and sleep. This affects almost 7% of the U.S. population, and it is also the leading cause of disability in the U.S. from ages 15 to 44. Generalized anxiety disorder affects 6.8 million adults, or roughly 3% of the U.S. population, yet only 43% are receiving treatment. Women are twice as likely to be affected as men, and generalized anxiety disorder often co-occurs with major depression. It is not uncommon for someone with an anxiety disorder to also suffer from depression, or vice versa. Nearly one-half of those diagnosed with depression are also diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. Both these are very prevalent in understanding food eating habits and nutrition. It's been shown that a poor diet composed of lots of highly processed foods can increase the risk of depression, while eating a healthy diet rich in fruit, vegetables, fish, and lean meat is associated with reduced risk of depression. But how could diet have such a huge impact on mental health? One of the increasing areas of research on this subject involve the human microbiome.
The ratio of bacteria to human cells in the adult body is about 1:1, meaning we're all about only 50% human. A majority of that bacteria resides in the gut, where it has been seen to be associated with nutrient absorption, as well as involved with about 95% of the body's serotonin production. It's been seen that model organisms, such as mice, exhibit changes to behavior when their gut microbes are disrupted. This suggests that there's a link between the gut microbiome and the brain. Many mental health disorders involve a dysregulation in serotonin levels, and some of the biggest ones are depression and anxiety. So, if so much of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut, what if the decrease in serotonin levels in these disorders can be traced back to its gut microbiome-aided production? A dysregulation of the gut microbiome could be the cause of decreased levels of serotonin, which leads to mental health disorders like depression and anxiety. So then what types of things do disrupt the gut microbiome? One possible thought is that chemical preservatives that are added to many processed foods could be the cause. Examples of these chemical preservatives include benzoates, nitrates, and sulfites. All of these chemicals either inhibit the activity of or kill bacteria. Early research suggests that these added preservatives can kill the healthy bacteria that resides in our gut. Poor diets have also been seen to increase inflammation, which can be a risk factor for depression. Westernized diets high in fat and sugar have also been shown to increase the permeability of intestinal linings, which might provide more access to environmental toxins and structural components of harmful bacteria, such as lipopolysaccharide or LPS. LPS can decrease levels of tryptophan, which is a precursor to serotonin, and affects neurotransmitter production and transmission. LPS can also increase inflammation in the body and oxidative stress. Inflammation in the body is a natural bodily function. It functions as a healing process to repair damaged tissues. As part of the body's immune response, blood flow is increased to allow more cells, such as leukocytes and proteins, to enter the tissue in an attempt to help fix the damage. Inflammation is meant to be a protective process, but too much inflammation can cause unnecessary swelling, heat, and loss of function in areas where there has been no trauma. Chronic or lasting inflammation can cause permanent damage to an area or organ. Because of the stress unnecessary inflammation causes on the body, it is at the root of most diseases, including increasing the risk of mental health disorders. Avoiding foods with high fats or sugar, which can cause inflammation, helps decrease the risk for these diseases. Now, let's see what some real people have to say about their diets.
What are your favorite food places to eat out in Portland?
My favorite food places to eat in Portland would have to be Thai Ginger, Hat Yay, which is another Thai place, and then Salt Straw.
My favorite restaurants in Portland are Little Big Burger and Drunken Noodle.
Okay, favorite restaurants in Portland: Little Big Burger, Hot Yai, Taco Bell is important to me, and I think that's it.
Okay. Where do you get most of your meals?
I get most of my food from Fred Meyer. A lot of it's frozen or kind of like dry foods, and I cook it here at my house.
I get most of my meals from Fred Meyer's and then I cook them.
I get most of my meals either from once a semester, my parents take me grocery shopping, and then I make that last like 4 months, or I just find things around and then hold on to them for a long time.
I get most of my meals from either Freddy's or Trader Joe's. I usually meal prep a lot of fruits and vegetables, or chicken.
I usually eat out for just about every meal. I very rarely ever cook meals at home.
How many times per week do you eat processed food?
I eat processed meals about 2 to 3 times a week.
I eat processed foods probably 4 times a week.
I don't eat a lot of processed foods. Most of my stuff is just fruits and vegetables.
I eat processed foods like every single day because we live in America.
I probably eat processed food every day.
So what can we do to promote positive mental health? While the field of nutritional psychology is still burgeoning, there is some evidence that suggests certain foods have anti-inflammatory effects and could be linked to positive mental health. By eating well, you could lower inflammation instead of exacerbating issues with a poor diet. As mentioned before, traditional dietary practices are characterized by high intakes of fruit and vegetables, fish and seafood, cereals with limited processing, fiber, and modest amounts of dairy and lean meats. These diets are more common in Japanese or Mediterranean cultures, and a strong adherence to traditional dietary practices is associated with a lower risk of depression by 25 to 30%. The field of nutritional psychology is relatively new, and not enough research has been done to study diets where we can form concrete statements about which foods may be good or bad for us. But there are some novel findings that suggest that certain types of foods can be beneficial for us. Alcohol is often thought of as detrimental to mental health, but some studies are showing that consuming alcohol, specifically red wine, in modest amounts of about 5 to 15 grams per day can reduce systemic inflammation in the body and is associated with a lower risk of depression. Coffee also has the same effects as an anti-inflammatory agent. In Japan, fermented soy products called natto have been found to also be associated with a lower risk of depression. Other researchers are beginning to look at the effects of fermented foods on the risk for depression because they may provide healthy probiotics from fermentation processes and support our gut microbiota functioning. Nutritional supplements have also been shown to be associated with positive effects on anxiety and depression. Specifically, high intakes of magnesium, zinc, vitamin C, folic acid, and vitamin B12 have been connected to resiliency against depression and improvement in depressive symptoms.
Through this TED Talk, we have explored the concept of you are what you eat, not just at the physical level, but at a mental health level as well. The quality of your mental health is seen to be affected by your nutrition and can work to be a preventative factor to reduce the risk of certain mental illnesses. Certain foods have been suggested to be better than others for our physical and mental health through both inflammation and disrupting our body's natural processes. It's good to remember, though, that everything is good in moderation. So maybe don't eat fast food every day of the week, but getting that side order of fries at the Pilot House won't give you depression.